A Horse in Santa Fe by Gregory Brandt. One thing about me is I once used to live at a homeless shelter in Santa Fe, New Mexico for a couple months actually. I've stayed at very few homeless shelters in my life, despite having been homeless many times, and this is for obvious reasons that most homeless shelters are quite dangerous. However, this particular shelter in Santa Fe, New Mexico was called by Yahoo News as quote-unquote the Taj Mahal of homeless shelters, and I actually had ulterior motives than just escaping the cold and snow. The Yahoo News article mentioned that the shelter had a program helping people get their state ID or their driver's license. At the time, I was at the Occupy movement in Santa Fe, New Mexico. At this time in 2011, every major city had an Occupy movement modeled after Occupy Wall Street in New York City. But I never fit in with the quote-unquote occupiers. I thought they were phony and fake. There were two distinct kinds of people at the Occupy Santa Fe camp. There were rich college kids that didn't look like they worked a day in their life, and then there was straight-up homeless people. The homeless didn't care about any political movement. They were just there for the safe place to camp, the free tents they were giving out, and the free food and to sit by the fire. The college-age kids once destroyed a Bank of America, and I had enough. While I was at this camp, I did notice a large building next to the camp that would bring water and firewood to the Occupy camp every day. When I asked about it, I found out that the building was actually the Santa Fe homeless shelter that I had read about. I didn't have an ID at the time, and I've been driving across the country in my Mazda Protege, so I kind of needed one. My goal was just to infiltrate the shelter, sign up for the ID program, then once I got my ID, bounce and leave town. The shelter was a decent place. It was kind of like going to camp with a bunch of bums. Some were better than others, and I did get a lot of writing done while I was there. I let my car have a break and let it park in the parking lot and took the bus or walked everywhere. Santa Fe is one of the most walkable cities in the United States. Everything I'm talking about here, I go into more detail in my second book, which will be available in about a year. So I'm at the Santa Fe shelter. It's called St. Elizabeth, and they actually had the best food of any place. They had 2 meals per day, and they had a local restaurant come in or a church group every night to cook a gourmet New Mexico-style meal. New Mexico is a very original cuisine that centers around the green chili pepper. They put it in everything for some reason. They make everyone leave during the day right after breakfast, so I usually walk to the ancient downtown Santa Fe library or head across town to many of the other libraries they had. I had a trash bag full of weed in my car, so I'd roll a couple joints for the day. The shelter provided a fresh fruit basket every morning, so me and a lot of the other guys would usually pocket a few pieces of fruit to take us for during the day. So every day I'd walk to the downtown library, stopping at the dried-up riverbed, the Santa Fe River, and on my way there I started to notice a friendly horse in one of the backyards. This wouldn't have been so odd, a horse in Mexico, but this was a city center area not far from downtown where you wouldn't expect to see a horse in somebody's backyard. The horse would run up to me from the fence and act very friendly, so I started bringing the horse a couple apples every day, and the horse loved them. I didn't really talk to anybody at the homeless shelter. I didn't fit in with them just like I didn't fit in with the occupiers. So every morning on my walk to the library, I would stop and talk to the horse and give it a few apples, venting about my day. The horse always let me speak and seemed generally interested in whatever I had to say. A couple times someone would walk by and see me having a full-fledged conversation with the horse, and they probably just thought I was a crazy person. But one time a nice old lady walked by and she gave me the 411 on the horse. Apparently, the reason they let the horse live in this backyard because this horse was a famous horse that had recently been part of a reality TV show and a half-dozen movies to its credit. There was a long backstory about the horse, how it had been rescued from a cruel rancher before becoming a Hollywood celebrity. I don't remember the horse's name. This was over 10 years ago, but like I said, I go into more detail about this time in Santa Fe in my second book, and I'll also do another monologue tomorrow about Santa Fe. Santa Fe is one of my favorite towns, the best place I've ever been to. It's one of the smallest state capitals and the highest elevation, too. It's a great town for a writer. It has a timeless mystique to it, and even though I don't like cold weather, I really love Santa Fe, and I have dozens of memories from the short time that I lived there. Thanks for listening. Check out my first book, Gonzo Education. It's available on Amazon. Aloha! Shoots!